Money Vikings, welcome back to the channel. I've got a very important one for you today. I want to talk about the core strategy at the heart of my all-weather ride your bike. I call it my ride my bike portfolio in wealth, the Money Viking way. Get the book if you don't have it. It's basically the ultimate middle-class wealth building guide. I distilled 25 years of investing experience and research into this book in a very straightforward, to the point way. No gimmicks, all just straightforward, helpful information that can be referred to again and again and again. My favorite books have always been those that I like to go back to again and again, and I like to dog ear, I like to tag them with pages that I want to go back to. And my basic point is I've used them as a tool, and so this book is a tool for the middle class to build wealth. But what I wanted to talk about today is something very important in light of what's going on right now. So right now we're basically getting the Strait of Hormuz is closed, the Strait of Hormuz is open, the Strait of Hormuz is closed, the Strait of Hormuz is open. Okay, for those of you not following the media, tons of oil and other natural resources have to get around this little tiny pass 20 miles long called the Strait of Hormuz. On one side is Iran, and on the other side is basically, I think, United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. And whoever controls the opening there controls the flow of oil and like 20% of the world's oil and other natural resources that go through there. So you can imagine when there's tension between these two sides and there's issues there, and if one side isn't getting what they want, they close things down. It's a typical mafia move. It's kind of like the mafia that, you know, controls the access to the trash collection, and they close it down when they want to be paid more. Any kind of mafia or monopoly does that, right? When they're not getting their way, they start restricting what they do deliver and provide to the world that the world wants or needs. So anyway, bottom line is that's a bunch of noise for us in the middle class, because the reality is in the last 40 years, in the history of the S&P 500 index, which I talk about as a core element of a strategically diversified portfolio, the S&P 500 index has been up on an annual basis 75% of the time. The companies want to grow. The companies want to win. The companies have billions and trillions of dollars working towards wanting to win and wanting to be better and wanting to be strong and wanting to make a profit. And they have literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions upon millions of people trying to make them stronger. And then on top of that, you have billions of customers. Okay, my point being, when you own a piece of the S&P 500 index through a 401k, IRA, ETF, you know, it's things like the VOO for Vanguard. Don't get confused by the terminology. The Vanguard version of this is VOO. There is a Fidelity version. There's a Schwab version. The SPY is the S&P 500 index. I think maybe through BlackRock. It doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. It's owning a share of these 500 most powerful companies. Here's the other beautiful thing about them. It is a self-cleansing index. That's very critical for wealth builders to understand. When you own it, it's a dynamic force. It's not something that's static. The biggest and best 500 companies in all different sectors today will not be the same in 10 years. Some will become stronger, some will become weaker. The weaker ones will drop out and other companies will go into it. I mean, perfect example, things like Amazon, Tesla, etc. Those weren't companies 20 years ago, but the S&P 500 index has been around for a long time. So it had other companies in it and then weaker companies dropped out. Some old companies, I don't know if IBM's a good example, it's probably still in there, but you know, some companies get weaker over time, and you know, someone else eats their lunch or new technology disrupts them. The bottom line is, as a middle class wealth builder, you need to be looking at what kind of return you can get on an annual basis, year in and year out. And you're really not going to lose in the long run with a low cost access to the S&P 500 index. And that's why I call it a 30 to 50% allocation in my all-weather strategically diversified portfolio. Now, this can be different for different people. Typically in your younger years, a person wants to be more exposed to this. But on average, they should expect something around a 9 to 10% return on their money, which is not bad on an annual basis. Now, there's going to be years that are a lot higher, and there have been. There's been years in the 20s. But then again, you have to deal with a couple of years where it goes down. You know, it could lose 7% one year. It could lose 20% one year. But as I've said, typically over the decades, it goes right back up. And in hindsight, what you find over a career of investing is that those down periods were the best. Those down periods were a great time to be adding to your position in this core holding. So it's in the book, Wealth, the Money Viking Way. Many other things are in here. I just give you guys little snippets of what's in here to be helpful. And but you could check out one of the chapters. I have to remember what chapter it is, but I have a chapter on chapter 20 is my Ride My Bike portfolio, starting on page 161. And that is going to explain strategically diversified portfolios. And that is the skill set, pardon the noise, that is the skill set that many of us need to learn, is how to build strategically diversified portfolios. I call it my Ride My Bike portfolio because basically I can build this portfolio. I can adjust it every once in a while as needed, but I really don't need to make any knee-jerk reactions to it. I really don't need to worry about the Strait of Hormuz. I don't really need to worry about the next dang thing that's going to come in the news cycle that's going to throw the world off kilter and make people all worried and scared. So I don't need to worry about that stuff. I've built the portfolio. I can make adjustments subtly as I need. And it has there's other tips and tricks in this thing. They're in the book, but I have other ideas to help us kind of be our own advocates and to be helpful in our wealth building journey. So hope that helps you, and catch you in the next one. Thank you. Please like, subscribe, all that great stuff. All right, see you guys.